Welcome to The Hop. This is David Charles Allen, Realtor at Village Properties in Santa Barbara, California. My good friend and co-host, Patty Teal. I'm doing great today, Patty. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully as well. Thank you.
How's the weather looking over there?
This is a really nice time of year in the Sedona area. It hasn't gotten too hot yet, but it's still cool in the morning, cool in the evenings, and in midday and the afternoon gets to be perhaps close to 80.
Oh, I love that. Last week we had a couple really hot days. Hot for here. So 81 is pretty hot for all of us down here.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Looking ahead, we have sunny skies in the mid 60s, probably starting next week. Coming on the week after that, we're probably getting a little bit warmer weather as well.
Yeah, it's pretty warm because houses there don't have air conditioning very often. Some do, but it's not a given that you're going to have an air conditioner in your home.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to have air conditioning here.
I remember oftentimes there would be a week in late August, early September. I wished I had air conditioning.
Yeah, I know sometimes, like you're saying, that first week of September, we always get some really hot weather, and it usually always was when people go back to school.
Yes. Isn't that the truth? And it's funny too, because different neighborhoods are very different. If you're closer to the beach, it's cooler. There was a time period when I lived down in the Cottage Hospital area and I was in an upstairs area, and it would get pretty hot there more often. But I think it's a combination of the way the house was built and the different neighborhoods that don't get the sea breeze.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you live on the Mesa, you usually have a 10-degree difference from somewhere even in San Roque or downtown, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, living on a second story usually tends to get a little bit warmer upstairs.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And looking for the swell coming in, we have a south swell coming in later this week, so it could provide some fun days as well as some fun wind swell days out there. If you know what you're looking for, go out and have some fun.
Yeah. Where do you look for the south swell? Do you have to go to a certain beach?
Yeah, we've talked about it before. You really have to go down to Ventura or Malibu or go up north to Halama. Very rarely, it has to be a really big south swell to get in a couple spots in Santa Barbara. But there's only a rare few that really get good on a south swell.
Which ones are good at the Rincon? What type of swell?
Rincon, you want a west swell, a northwest swell. So that's when you're going to be getting the best swell coming in at Rincon.
So much to learn about surfing swells. I had no idea.
Yeah. And we'll jump into the real estate factors. Interest rates actually went down this last week. So they're 3.125 for conforming 30-year fixed, and they stayed the same at 3% for non-conforming jumbo.
Wow, that's nice and low, isn't it?
Still low. We've talked about them potentially going up. So a lot of people are saying you could see rates in the 4s to even 5s in the next couple of years. It's hard to say. It's really dependent on policy and everything going on with that. Right now, they drop back down just an eighth of percentage, back to 3.125. You know, in this market, it's really hard to purchase when you have your interest rate that you want it because the supply is so low of homes. You're kind of just going into it, finding the home first and then working it out with what the interest rate is.
Right. Any new houses on the market? I know there have to be some, but how is it looking this week?
So we had 54 new listings, 11 coming soon, 10 price changes. We actually had 58 pendings this last week. So again, we have 54 new listings, 58 pendings. So we're still not building on our supply. There's still not extra homes out there. When is this going to end? We really don't know. We're seeing more homes come on the market. Nice to see them being in the 50s. But at the same time, either that home sells quickly or one that was already on the market that hadn't sold before does. So we're not seeing multiple houses in certain neighborhoods. There's really no choice. It's basically, if you want to buy right now, there's only one house that's coming on the market. You have to be ready to go.
Wow, that's tough. And I know you gave us a great tip last episode about being prepared more than just being pre-approved. You said you actually have the paperwork done as if you're ready to buy. Can you address that one more time?
Yeah, so it means you basically go through underwriting with your loan officer. And that's usually the process that goes into once you have an accepted offer. It's through the escrow process. But this way you can come with an offer basically saying, my loan is fully approved, it's underwritten, all we have to do is get an appraisal and make sure the amount that we're paying for it appraises at that value for the banks. And then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about something getting fumbled during underwriting or it taking too long or something like that.
Any other ideas that you could give to people who are in the market but are finding that there are multiple offers on any house that they want to bid on?
I think it comes down to really figuring out what you need. And if you're not getting everything you need, you can just be patient with everything. But if you want something and it's not available, you don't want to push into something that you're not going to be happy with. Because a lot of people maybe think of this as a little short-sighted, as they need to get in now. But you're talking about owning a home for the next 30 years. That's the length of a loan. You don't have to own it then. If you don't like the home in 1 or 2 years, you're really paying a cost. And there's real estate fees associated with selling it, escrow fees again for selling it. Then you have to find a new house too. It's not a process you should just jump into. If you're planning on being there for the long haul, you sometimes have to wait it out. But I know it's difficult because interest rates are going up, prices are going up. So it's really a balance. I think the best advice I can give is what makes most sense to you. What's more important? Kind of write down a list of the most important things. Is it having a home no matter where it is and what the layout is and be able to fix it up to the way you like it over time? Is it more about getting the best price possible? Does it have to be in a certain school neighborhood? Because when people want a home, they'll probably have 10 different things they're looking for. Probably most important to pick your top 3 and focus on those. And even at this point right now, maybe just pick out your most important thing. A lot of people can't even get their top 3. So It's really going to be about the most important thing to you.
Yeah. And it's not only Santa Barbara that's having this kind of a market going on. We have it out here in Arizona as well. Although a lot of people blame it on the people in California because a lot of people in California seem to be moving out to Arizona. And because their houses are more valuable, they sell their houses and they're more apt to be able to pay cash. So that's happening a lot out here.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, we're not seeing anyone leave California in a sense that more homes are coming available either. So I don't know how everyone's able to buy a home right now. It's honestly blows my mind. There's just so many moving parts right now.
There are so many moving parts. I spoke to somebody the other day. Well, actually, I met 2 different people, 2 different families, and they both had bought a house out in the Sedona area, sight unseen, just paid cash and just got out here. And both of them were not from Santa Barbara, but they were from California. It is difficult, but I think that may be why there are so few people selling as well. They're just not sure where they want to go.
That's true. And it's really difficult right now to sell and then buy something else in Santa Barbara unless you're willing to go through this process again. If you're selling a home and you're trying to rebuy something in Santa Barbara, you're going to learn while you're selling it how wild the interest is, and you can really get an inside scoop on everything like that. And then expect that same thing to happen to you when you're going to buy a home as well.
Exactly. And I just want to give you kudos, David. You always have such a positive attitude. Really try to do the best you can for the buyers and the sellers that you work with. But I know after having the show and co-hosting it with you, it must be difficult for realtors as well, because you're really trying to do the best by your clients, but sometimes they don't get the houses the first or the second, or maybe even the third time that they put a bid in on them.
It's rough sometimes. You try and allow people to think for themselves and make the decisions for themselves. But a lot of the times they either miss out on something because they weren't quite ready, and then they have regret that they didn't do that. And then the market's going up more, and then there's more regret. So, I try and give them the best information possible to make their own decisions. It's rough because then they're wondering why they didn't get the home, and then they're potentially blaming others or taking blame on themselves. And it's not a good feeling to have that kind of environment. I wouldn't say it's unique because it's happening a lot right now. to a lot of different people.
Well, I'm sure it is. When you say there are 54 coming soon houses, that's not very many for all of Santa Barbara. And I wonder how many realtors there are, really good realtors. There must be hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah, there's a lot of realtors in town, that's for sure. It kind of gets to the point where a lot of people can go behind others' backs as well. And, you can't blame them. A buyer sometimes think they'll get their offer accepted if they call the listing agent directly, because if the listing agent writes the contract, then they get both sides of the commission. So there's a lot of stuff going on like that. It's hard because you want your clients to get the house they want, but at the same time, you can't just work for free. We only earn money off of commissions.
You need to have a roof over your head too. Yes, I get that.
Yeah, we only earn a paycheck, and all this time being spent is brutal in the end when you're spending all this time writing offers, showing houses, and then all of a sudden they decide to call the listing agent to get an offer. And then you're like, okay, well, what about all this time I spent, and this happens periodically in town, and it's not a fun sight to see, to say the least.
No, that wouldn't feel good. Well, last week we talked about the doggy DNA.
We were talking about traveling with dogs as well.
It's funny. I always talk about Ollie and how shy he is, although everyone in the neighborhood probably thinks he's this vicious dog because from inside the house, he barks at everybody and even leaps at the window. But when he's out there in person, he's a total different animal. But he doesn't really like to travel like most dogs do. He gets a little scared if he thinks he's going for a walk around the neighborhood. And then I'm like, get in the car. He's like, oh no, where are we going? And he hides his head under my arm. So he's a funny guy.
Yeah, I love that too. They will act tough every once in a while, but she's not going anywhere.
Right. Well, I did have a little bit of a tough thing happen this week. My daughter's pug, he's about a 2-year-old. He took a jump on the couch. He's an amazing jumper. A lot of pugs are a little bit heavy, but we used to have a fence about 4 foot tall. He could just leap right over it. I think he's forgotten he can do that. But he just took a normal jump onto the couch, and I heard the most god-awful yelping. I knew he was hurt. And then sure enough, later that night, he was shaking and shivering, and my daughter thought he was, seriously ill. And we ended up taking him to the vet and doing blood work. I said, I think it was that jump on the couch. He got a little pain pill and he's doing fine now. He must have either dislocated a knee or he just somehow hurt himself. His foot got caught in a funny way. And I don't think he'd probably ever experienced pain before, and he just didn't take it well.
Yeah, that's actually funny. Not funny to say the least, but dogs are pretty cool like that. My girlfriend's dog, we're up at Red Rock and we're throwing the ball in the water for her. And the water was really cold, but she just can't get enough of it. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, she just got out of the water and started death screaming.
No.
And her leg was just numb. She couldn't feel her leg.
Oh, yeah.
So she was walking around it feels like she thought she lost her leg.
Oh, yes. I've seen some dogs are like that. They're just, and Ollie too, sometimes I'll walk him and he'll get a piece of gravel in his foot and all of a sudden he can't walk at all.
Yeah. So she's just screaming out bloody murder. And it's just oh my God. And then we warm her up and then she's right back to it. And
poor
then
baby.
Act like nothing happened.
Oh, that's really cute. Well, she just didn't know what had happened, probably. What is this?
What's going on? I don't have a leg. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, well, good. You figured out what was wrong and warmed her up quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Great talking to you, David, as always. And if people want to get a hold of you, would you share your contact information?
Yeah, it's 805-617-9311, or they can email me at david@davidcharlesallen.com, or check out more on my website at www.davidcharlesallen.com.
Thank you, David. Take care. Have a great week.
All right, Patty, let's give it a go next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.